Hello, Mum. It's me, Paul.
I hoped it would be, as you said, hello, Mum.
Oh, yeah. Well, it could be my brother. I got that email you sent about that funny plant that's in your garden. I'll have to come and have a look at that. I'm coming down anyway, so I'll have a look at that. It sounds quite horrible. It's not a triffid, is it?
No, I'm sure it's not a triffid. I haven't seen any things coming out from its trumpet.
Actually, you wouldn't do it. It'd knock you over.
It doesn't smell as badly now.
It's not one of those Doctor Who ones that's going to be as big as the house. That would be bad. Anyway, I'm going to come down, and I want you to tell the audience about when I was naughty, when I was little. But
You were naughty?
You know, when I was little and I drew on the wall. Shush! You've got to tell the story. So.
Oh, that being naughty.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll break the call and I'll get on the train and I'll be there soon.
All right. Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
Have a safe journey.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
It's the Shylight Podcast with me, Yeti.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Shy Life Podcast. Now I think this is going to be episode 10. I only say I think because, well, I'm recording so much at the moment, I'm not quite sure what order things are going in, but yes, this looks like it's going to be episode 10. We're back in my hometown, speaking to all sorts of people, but I'll tell you more after the titles, okay? I'm currently sheltering in a phone box, but yes, it will all make sense, I'll explain later. Right, here we are for episode probably 10. If it's not episode 10, I apologise. Then it's something else. But yes. So before we have our little chat and I tell you where I am and who we'll be speaking to, I want to explain why I'm in a phone box. Well, I told you we're back in my hometown, and this very second I'm also back in the village where I grew up, which is slightly out of my hometown, if that makes sense. Opposite my parents' house there's a phone box, which is no longer used as a phone box. It's used as a place for people to bring books and just knickknacks. For instance, there's tea and sugar, little jars for tea and sugar, utensils, there's various bits of glassware, there's some rhubarb and some courgettes, there's a hair clip, a candlestick holder, and what looks like a hamster wheel. Well, there's no wheel, but it could be a rabbit hutch. But yeah. So really, this is a place to come. It's a place to come and see what there is. There are books by. Oh, let's see. What have we got here? People. There are quite a lot of books by people I've never heard of, but there are books by people like Alan Titchmarsh, who used to be on the TV. Well, he may still be on the TV, but he was a gardener, known for gardening. People in the UK will know that. I don't think people in the States will know that. Right, what else? There's something called The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake. I like the title of that. I've never heard of the author. What else? Rose Tremaine, I think I've heard of her. There are books by R.D. Wingfield, Night Frost. I wonder if that's anything to do with Inspector Frost. Yes, it is, from the creator of A Touch of Frost. You see how clever I am? Because I work in libraries, I know about books. There's a book by Russell Brand. How lovely. I don't think I'll be taking that with me. Book by Colin Forbes. Tom Cox. Oh, yes, about the cat. Yeah. See? That looks like that might be a book I bought my parents. I'm not sure. Could be. So, what else? Yes, so basically we have everything here. We have a little library. It's a nice way to reuse this little place, this little phone box. Right, let's move on. I'm going to take you across the fields. That is not a euphemism. Understand, I'm not coming on to you. Or maybe some of you. No, I'm not. I'm really not. Stop it. Stop it now. Dear. Okay, I love you all.
So, before we go any further, I need to tell you a little bit about who we're going to be speaking with this episode. Well, being that we're back in Salisbury and that I've just seen him at the poetry show, we are going to be speaking properly now with my friend Nick Goodman. We're going to be covering a number of subjects, partly about how we met and some of the stories behind that, and that sort of maze of different friendships, how everyone links in. We're going to talk a little bit about filming in Sutton Park, but sort of about the preservation of old photos and pictures and why it's really important to do that and to, look after these things, these tapes that are now 20, 30 years old. They are really fun documents of the past. We're also going to be talking about writing and writing we've done together and writing that we are doing together sort of now. We have just started a project together. So, yes, there's going to be a lot of Nick and me nattering on. And, there will be some daftness as usual, of course. But I'm also going to be showing you around Yeti Manors and telling you some of the stories of my childhood. And I'm also going to speak to my mum about a couple of things, memories that even I'm not sure about of when I was really little, because when I moved to this village I was about 2 or something, and I was an only child at that stage. My brother didn't come along until 1982. So there were a few occasions where, believe it or not, that I was maybe a little bit naughty when I was little, which I only have kind of vague memories of myself. I'm going to check up with my mum as to what went on. We could ask Yeti Uncle John, but it would only be stories of me wetting the bed. I'm still not convinced I ever did that. Anyway, right, moving on.
Hello and welcome to the Shy Life podcast. My guest today is my old friend Nick. Shall I say your surname? Is it right?
Oh yes.
Nick Goodman. Yes. Now we've.
Hello.
I'm looking at the recording device. I should be looking at you.
Sorry. Very bad. Meatloaf has thrown laptops across the studio for less.
Of course, you're not a stranger to the show because you've already appeared twice via the phone. With me.
Yes, yeah. And this has a hopefully much better quality.
Yes,
sound wise this time.
We met yesterday, but this is at my poetry show. Although that will have been a previous episode. This interview will be in a different episode, but
we actually met about nearly 30 years ago. You didn't suddenly meet me and take me home and take me home together.
Should we tell the listeners how we first met and
when? I think we should put them out of their misery. Yes,
they must be wondering.
Yes, as I recall, it was June 1987 when we actually first met.
Nick's very good with dates, so I'm letting him doing all the
Yes,
talking.
I always pick up the bill for the meal. I was writing then, not quite script-wise, but I was writing storylines for a science fiction series, ongoing one that I had, which was coming to an end at the time, but a new one was starting. And I kind of wanted to expand my writing and get it out there a little bit more. And I was told of, now who was I? Nesta Bryn, who was one of Paul's teachers. And she told me, she went to my church at the time, and she told me of this writing group that she ran on the Montessori school, which was was it a special kind of school?
It was like preschool. a preschool, a play school, and that's literally where she was my teacher at that age, and then I hadn't seen her for 10 years or so, and in my head I remember her being quite scary. And of course, one of those things I even remember when I went to primary school. I do remember when I left that school, I went to the next school. The headmistress asked me about, what school are you at now? And I remember even saying to her, I don't have that many memories of being very young. I remember saying to her, "Oh, I don't like the lady who's the teacher." Of course, I met her later for the Writers' Circle, and she couldn't have been nice, and she was lovely. And it's funny how you see people in different lights.
I too had a scary memory about Montessori because when I was about 2, certainly pre-school age, possibly even pre-playgroup age, I remember sitting with these 2 girls, the St Edmunds girls, I think, in Montessori. For some reason, finding it extremely scary. Usually, even from a young age, I found being with any kind of female very, very, very enjoyable. But this was very scary, and that was Montessori. And I remember them making a rhyme out of Montessori and tell me a story about Montessori, and so I too had a scary memory. But no, it was this lovely old building which is just up and round from where we live now, and there was Nesta there. There was a little old lady called Mrs. Walsh, who
she was like a guest speaker. That particular.
Yes, very much of the.
You were probably at this might have been the very first junior writers' circle, because I was. I don't know if my dad bumped into her or because my dad worked in the town. I don't know how I ended up sending some of my writing to her and being invited, because I used to be a member of the adult writers' circle at the same time. Yeah. But I think she thought, oh well, it's fine for you to be in the writers' circle, but maybe you'd like to be with people of your own age, or more like your own age, because the writers' circle had all people 40s, 50s, 60s, probably 70s, and I was there about 14 or something, 13 or 14, and I think it was her idea to get us kind of going for a junior writers' circle, and this might have been the one you came to. May have been the very first writers' circle, junior writers' circle.
Yeah, I got a feeling it was the crest of something new.
We didn't usually have a guest like sort of like in that situation.
But I was definitely wanting to, on the one hand, put the writing I was doing onto a more of a public level. On the other hand, to try and write something a bit different. And I just remember, apart from myself, the only under 40 probably was a boy called Andreas, and sure enough, I'm Mr. Chandler here, and that was 30 years ago next June. I didn't really know Paul all that well, but I remember you were writing detective stories at the time.
I was at the time, yeah.
And
you only came to that one.
I did, yes. I think mainly because I suppose I was for once. I think it was a social thing. I wasn't. It wasn't so much.
Sorry, I'm
distracted by. I'm interested in digital waves.
Yes,
I just want to make sure I do a lot of digital audio editing, and
so we're both now staring at the recording device with the digital wave.
We're talking about something much more interesting. I think it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was expecting a sort of workshopy kind of. Because of this, something a little bit with a bit more pulse, and I don't think they let you and Andreas kind of speak enough. And coincidentally, at the time, my hours changed at work. I was completely working in one. I was working in 2 shops at the time, and then suddenly I was completely working in one shop. And I worked back then I worked half a Saturday, and suddenly I was working all of Saturday, so I wasn't able to come to the meetings anymore. Then February the following year was the White Hart Convention, which took place in the Rose and Crown with Doctor Who. We're sort of on to Doctor Who now. At that point, I was in Smike, that's the St Martin's Young Communicants, with a guy called Danny March, who was a newbie to Smike.
And I met Danny at school, sort of the end of 1987, when we were doing we were both in the same class for some reason, and there was a quiz, and I got one right about Doctor Who, and he came and spoke to me afterwards.
It only takes a little thing like that to kind of.
And I think Danny, going very, 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 very briefly back to the end of the Junior Writers' Circle, it kept going probably until I went to university in '92, but mainly it was me turning up with little gangs of friends like Danny or Harry or Paul Hillier and people that have been on the show, but who really aren't really, other than Danny perhaps, aren't known for being writers, but sort of came along because we never really I think that Andreas did come to more, but I think mainly it was me and a few other people my age from school, so we didn't really need to have the junior writer circle because I was quite happy in the adult writer circle. Didn't really like people my own age that much anyway. Much more fun being with the adults.
Yeah, but I mean,
sorry, going back to
yes, I mean, Danny, Christmas '87, we had a Christmas party over at my usually the Smite parties happened at my house until my parents put their foot down with a firm hand when too much booze was involved. And Danny and I got chatting. I didn't know him, and he was at school with some of the older boys, and I happened to mention about Doctor Who. I can't remember. Did I have something printed in Doctor Who magazine or something? It was. I know. There was a photograph album that I got out. Invariably, I used to bore people with my photograph albums, and he noticed I'd met. I think he saw some pictures of me with Doctor Who, and he was interested. And I showed him some of the photographs I'd got from Linda King from Doctor Who, and suddenly I got some audio episodes, and he was in the choir at St Martin's at the time, so it was dead easy to swap tapes with him because he just every Sunday.
But then little did you know that he was swapping
tapes with you.
But these were the audio ones.
And sure enough, at this White Hart convention, which took place in the Rose and Crown, we actually did. I think you were somewhere. You couldn't be there all the time, and you had to come along. And there was you and Danny, and I met you for the second time. I don't think at that stage I twigged that you were the same person that was at the right. But you're there, and over the course of the next few months in '88, I started acquiring my first ever video copies of things, because we didn't have a video at the time, but I thought, I really like to see some of these old stories of Doctor Who, and I started getting them, and from one source to another, and I used to go around to Danny's house to watch them, because I didn't have a machine. And the second one that we had, which I think, if memory serves me right, was Pirate Planet, you were there. Mm-hmm. And then you were there from there in on, forevermore, from there in on, and you became, we got to know each other, and we started phoning each other. I remember it was, we had a long chat about Danny. I was quite close to Danny at the time, but it was always yourself that made the effort to call and phone. I mean, Danny did phone, but we had long chats.
Things changed, and Doctor Who was something that eventually he fell out of love with anyway. Eventually, but not from much later. But he had sporting. He was very interested in sport.
Yeah,
and other things. I don't know what other sci-fi he would have been interested in.
I think he was in when the time we knew him in '88. He was incredibly passionate about the programme.
Yes, yeah.
But like a lot of some people are incredibly passionate about things and then move on to other things. I think
when he went to possibly he might say difference, but by the time he went to university really did, because I kept in touch with a lot of my friends at university, yourself included. But I think when Danny went to university, he really threw himself into new friends, new experiences, as a lot of people do. And I guess that's roughly around the time when his interest in Doctor Who sort of waned. Well, it wasn't on anymore, and
no, it would have been difficult for him to if he wanted to sort of be in the in crowd. It would have been difficult because if he'd have been into the show, because it would gone by then.
Before we say any more about if we are going to say any more on the subject, I think you're going to be one of those guests that comes back a great deal, Nick.
We've just got a lot
to talk about.
Yes,
what we can talk about, and we are going to talk about a few different subjects this episode, and I want to move on to writing a bit. But I do want to say, because this relates to the early part of our friendship, it's that mysterious triangle that I discussed with Harry, because you knew Harry before I knew Harry.
Yes, I knew Harry. He was born in 74. I don't know if we can say that.
Yes, we can say he's born in 74.
But I was. We moved to the Beaches in 1968 just before I was born, And Harry came along during that time, but we knew Harry's mum and dad before Harry was born. I just remember eventually he was sort of put out in the garden, and played and everything, and put out in the garden, out.
Did he grow?
Yes,
he did grow. He's very tall.
And he would yell things as you passed by, and eventually, I think in 1978 when I left, just before I left, there was an intense sort of social period where myself and Helen and all that old gang and Harry was by then 4 and interacting, and I got to know him a little bit better, obviously as much as you can get to know a 4-year-old, and obviously I was much older.
You eventually moved away.
I moved away to Harnham. Yes, it was only a mile away, but it felt like a longer distance.
In 1987, at the same time that we first met, I met Harry at school, and we've talked about that on the show. And I think it probably took us a while for us to realise all these people knew each other.
Absolutely.
And one other person who hasn't been on the podcast, but we did mention very briefly in the Harry interview, was we've discovered that Harry and I were friends, or had known my friend Sarah, who you later worked with quite randomly.
Yes. I did, yes. I mean, I knew, I think, I'm not actually sure whether we'd met at that stage, but I certainly very much knew of her, and you told me a bit about her. And yes, in the summer of, I think it was summer or autumn of 98, I was working part-time at Index. Only had a Saturday job there, but they were able to, because they needed staff, and they needed more and more staff. They recruited a lot of people, and I had the pleasure of working with Sarah for a few months around that time.
Which is really weird, though.
I used to escort her home because there was a lady there who was around where we lived, who was a little bit of a disturbed nature, and got actually quite leery with, as I believe your kids say these days, she got a bit leery with Sarah, and so I was her escort home, and I found she was extremely nice to work with.
She now lives down the road from me, and she's got 2 little boys.
Oh,
but it's weird how we all ended up knowing each other separately.
Yes.
and we all,
absolutely. I mean, it's just commonly known as Smallsbury, and I mean, in that, obviously that extends to other places because people move away. But I love that. I mean, some people say, "Oh no, I can't get away from it." You can't get away from people you don't know. I revel in that sort of thing. In Facebook, one of my very, very, very old friends from the preschool days put a picture up of preschool, and it got a whole lot of people going, and 2 of my old junior school friends popped up, and I couldn't have been happier.
Now, there's so much we could talk about our friendship, and I think we will definitely come back to this.
This is one of many, I think.
But I'm glad we've covered how we met, which is the most important one to start with.
Yes.
Now, I think when we come back after whatever's coming up next, we shall talk about some writing. So let's move on and do that, and then we'll be back soon.
Okay. And here's the next record.
You may be able to hear the sound of a mower in the background. I'm just leaving the telephone box. That's my dad mowing the grass. He's 78. You can't keep him away from the mower. No. We live opposite. No, we don't live opposite. We live next door to a church, or my parents live next door to a church, and I grew up there. So the village has changed quite a bit over the years. There were quite a lot of houses that were built here when I was growing up in the 80s, and of course 30 years later they all look they don't look as new as they did, let's just say. I'm walking past a house called the Old Schoolhouse, which when I was growing up there were kids who lived in that house. That's really exciting. It was a schoolhouse, but I'm not quite sure how old it is. But I do remember there being lots of nice little rooms and staircases, and you could go up into the loft, and it was very exciting. Most of the kids and most of the families connected to the kids that lived here when I was a kid have moved away. There were a few families that I know. I was a paperboy in this village back in the late 80s, early 90s, before I went to university. So there was a time I knew quite a few families, quite a few people who lived here. Passing a house called Rivermead, and that's a house where my friend Sarah, who has been mentioned a number of times on the podcast. We've never spoken to her, but Sarah's family used to live at Rivermead. In fact, they built Rivermead, or their family built Rivermead. And when I first knew Sarah, they were living in a little, not a caravan, a mobile home. Yes, they lived in a mobile home whilst the house was being built. So I do remember when there was no house on that site at all. My family moved here in 1975. I'm not sure whether I should reveal the exact name of this village. Let's just call it Yeti Manors. Yes, that way nobody can complain that I've picked their house name out. So yes, here we are in Yeti Manors. Come on, village, it's brilliant. This is called the Great Bookshop in the Sky. Bindings worn, spine cracked and broken, pages torn, their words unspoken. The black-hearted smudge of photocopy toner, cover scratched, one careless owner. Dust jacket ripped, mouldy and bloated, unloved, forgotten, sad dust coated. Index stained with crumbs from pie, there in the Great Bookshop in the Sky. Barcode defaced, 2 shillings cost, bargain basement, artwork lost. The name of kids who proudly owned it, the library stamp of those who loaned it. Price tag removed, pages scented, hardback cover badly dented. Bought as a gift, but now unfit to buy, fit only for the Great Bookshop in the Sky. Words highlighted with fluorescent pen, chapters missing 1 to 10, turned down by the Oxfam shop, only just survived that fearful drop. No home found in a waiting room, spring cleaned for profit or for doom. The career path of old novels left to lie, up to the Great Bookshop in the Sky. If it were me, if I were a tome, I'd sigh and leave my former home. I'd let them take me, I'd go with style, be regal, with a page-turning smile. I'd let them stack me, pack me away, I'd let them burn me, they'd not make me stay. I'd know where I belonged, and know I'd not be shy, shelved where I'm wanted, in the Great Bookshop in the Sky.
Hello, it's me, Damius Dinklehorn. Yes, I'm just sending you a little message to say that I'm here. Yes, I'm on location again. I'm in the countryside, and yes, I'm actually in romantic comedy at the moment. This is true. I've got all that stuff with the Cat Othello, all the stuff with 1962, all the stuff with forests and trees. It's all done. Well, rehearsal's all done. The actual production, that's the way off. But I still have a few. I still have a wait. I still have to do all the stuff with Cat Othello, and being the tree, and 1962. But that's not until a few weeks' time. So I've got a little other job that's come up. It's romantic comedy. It's rather sweet. Now, I play a cow called Jimbo. Yeah, I play a cow called Jimbo, and my wife is played by My wife is called Natasha. Yes, Natasha the cow, Jimbo the cow. It's the love story between us. Yes. Well, I suppose I'm not actually a cow. I'm a bull or a boy cow. I really need to look at the script a bit more, I think. Anyway, but I was a bit worried that perhaps Natasha was going to be played by a real cow. And I thought perhaps they couldn't afford 2 cows, and then I was going to have to kiss a real cow. And I would be in some sort of suit. Well, I am in some sort of suit, but so is the actress that plays Natasha. So, anyway, I don't have to snog a cow, not a real cow. Although Natasha can be a little moody. Anyway, the actress, I mean, not the cow. Oh, I'm getting confused. Natasha the cow is played by a lady from, I think she comes from Manchester, and she's called Felicity. Yes, Felicity from Manchester. Now, she's very, very much keen on 80s pop music. She used to be the girlfriend of, it's somebody in either that Spandau Ballet or Dun. She was the girlfriend of one of the people in that, I can't remember which one. So she knows, so she's pretty ancient. She's nearly as old as I am. Yes, she's pretty old as me. And anyway, she used to go out with one of those people, the stories she tells. I mean, I was around and I didn't see any of this activity. I really didn't. She's had quite an exciting life, this Felicity. And anyway, so we're both playing cows. We've got these costumes, a bit like you see in a pantomime, and it's a love story between Natasha and Jimbo. And anyway, apparently the director came to me today and said that Felicity had been complaining that my breath smelt and that I needed to get it fixed, sorted, before the big snog at the end of the film. I thought it was pretty rude. We've been filming all day in this big farm, and it's not a nice place. And I don't think she's very kind, criticising me like that. So I clean my teeth every day, I must say. I don't know what she's talking about. She's just... Anyway, you get these problems with actors sometimes. They're prima donnas. And I'm afraid Felicity might be a bit of a prima donna. Anyway, she's no right to criticise me. If she was any sort of famous actress, she wouldn't be working in this film. Dressed as a blooming cow, now would she? No. That's what I'm going to say to her. Maybe. Via my agent. Anyway, I better go now. I've got fitting, yes. My tail dropped off this morning as well. Needs to be stitched back on. So, goodbye for now. This is Daniel Trinklehorn signing out. Moo, moo, moo.
Mum and I are in the garden and she has pointed out a very strange looking plant. Can you describe it? It's a bit like a triffid.
Yes.
It's
not very pleasant smelling either.
I can't smell it, but then I'm all bunged up. But it's got. I can smell it now. I thought it was me. I've just come back from my walk. It's got. Looks like 2 different plants stuck together. I don't know. The birds seem. Is that just birds seem to like it? Maybe.
No, we've got lots of birds.
It's because the birds sit up in that tree.
Sit up there. No, you don't have to take any notice of that.
Yeah.
But, it's sort of like a pitcher plant.
It's got it's got stripes on its bottom, on its stem. Yes.
Can't see any.
Don't go too close, it might suck you in.
Any
flies, or
anything. Can't see any flies in there. It's not smelling so much.
So what happens to it? It's been here. Did you actually plant it originally, or?
No, it's a whole bag of daffodils, mixed daffodils, and you can only think That one odd bulb was there.
Yeah.
And when you look it up in the seed catalogues, one of those bulbs could cost you £6.
And it dies away, and then it comes back out.
Away, yeah.
It's like the bulbs I've got in my front of my garden. It dies away and then comes back.
Yeah.
But the bulb, because if they're like anything like those ones you gave me, the bulbs are doing stuff under the ground and spreading, as you say. You might get some more.
Well, they're new ones.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. It comes
But
in waves.
But the flies are attracted to it, aren't they, because of the smell?
Well, I should think that's the idea.
Because one of the leaves is a really dark purple, and it's got this sort of spear out in the middle. That's the only way I can think of describe it. What is that? A stamen or sort of a strange?
Yes, well, you can see the flies going round it. Little flies they are, not the big blowflies, but they are little flies around it.
And
that's the nearest I can think with that bulbous. It's a bit like a picture cloth.
But I couldn't see it either. It's a funny thing, isn't it?
It's a horrible thing. You can't smell it.
I can smell it now. I can smell it now.
But these are young ones, Michael, down there.
Where?
They've got the spiky stem.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a
As long as it doesn't get up and walk across the garden, you'll be all right.
colony next year. I can't think why people buy them though.
Well, you bought it.
No, she didn't buy it.
I bought it in a bag of
Daffodils, sorry.
What's she doing in a daffodil box?
Well, they must have somehow got mixed up and yes.
You see it tapping at the window, call the police.
I said that you would see something you've never seen before, didn't I?
You did. All these other bits sort of obscure it a bit as well.
Yeah, just have liquid in the bottom and then they drown.
So, yes, I'm back again with Nick, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been working on this weekend, which is preserving the old episodes of Sutton Park, at least beginning. It's a big project, but we've had little goes at it before, haven't we? But this is the first major, right? We're definitely doing it this time.
It's a case of upping the game and knowing. It's a case of being able to move on with the times as well. Because I mean, when I got this machine about say 9 years ago, which preserves, basically takes the tapes and turns them into, converts them onto DVD. I actually, I've basically converted all the tapes I have to this, and it's enabled me to remaster and put on DVD all the old films we used to do as well. But with Sutton Park, it's a huge campaign, I think you could probably call it, because there are nearly 3,000 episodes.
Recorded between 92 and 2000, end of 2000.
Yes. Or with a little bit in 2001, but it hasn't been discovered yet.
And there's even a few other things we did in 91, and that eventually we'll get to.
But the thing is, I obviously convert things to recording for friends and everything as well. But I'm a passionate believer in, with these tapes. Tape is obviously has come to an end.
Although saying, I mean, they have lasted. If it was still available, these things would still be. They haven't degraded particularly, or everything we've used so far has worked.
That's very true. I think,
considering their age,
the only tapes that have been completely unusually were for ones that I've converted with one of my colleagues. But the thing is, with Sutton Park, we did a cut of a DVD remastering of the film set in Sutton Park. It wasn't actually part of the series, but it was based on it. Had elements of it. Yeah. And I did the DVD remaster of that in 2009 or 10. I think it was 10. And I was expecting the tapes to be virtually slimy by then, but no, they all worked perfectly well and were converted very successfully, and so they do endure. You have to look after them though. You have to keep them upright, so if you put them by any heat is an absolute killer.
I mean, I haven't I hope I haven't deliberately kept them anywhere so awful, but then I haven't necessarily made a big point of putting them somewhere, exactly in the right temperature or anything.
No.
So I hope that as we go through it, we don't find there are any. But there's only the tapes have really been kept in two main places: one in my flat near Woking, and one at my parents' house. So it's not like they've been stuck up in the roof or anything. They've been kept in rooms.
Yeah.
But there are bits of my flat.
But I'm very conscious that there's these memories that were kind of, well, not memories, but these recordings which are obviously getting older and older and older. Not just Sutton Park, all of the things we did back in the day. It's good. They're there, and it's nice to be able to share them. But with Sutton Park, although with the recordings we've got that I've converted, they take up a small little sort of a stand, shelfy kind of thing that I've got over there. But with Sutton Park, you're talking about days and days and days of I mean, we've had the machine on for all afternoon, and we've only covered a slither. So not actually practical to get every episode on CD. Otherwise, you'd just trade a whole lot of tapes for a whole lot of CDs.
And I want to be able to put some bits of it on YouTube or get audio bits to put on this podcast, because you don't need to know what's going on necessarily to appreciate a funny bit of banter, or it does. There are elements that wouldn't work on audio, but there are some which you can just come in and knowing that it's a rather strange series, you could happily listen to it. I hope so. Anyway, I hope it works. Just little clips.
But also, I mean, I suppose because I lived through a Sutton Park, stuff like. But
you were there from almost the start to pretty much the end.
But I think also because so much time has gone past, there's another thing happening here, because when you do a film, it's set in an office, and you think, they used to use that thing or that. Or there's an 80s haircut or a 90s haircut. But the thing is, with Sutton Park, you got out and about. You were very, not voyeuristic is not the word. Very keen on background detail. If there was a poster, you got the poster. If there was a sunset, you got the sunset.
Top of the Pops was on in the background. That
if there was interesting TV, you got interesting TV. Interesting passer-by half naked or something, or sort of in a silly costume. You got you're a great observer in Sutton Park. So on the one hand, you would get episodes where you'd be concentrating on. Like the one at the moment, like a wavy branch. But the thing is that it's a cultural snapshot of the time. So it is actually there's another layer to this. It's terribly important to actually preserve these things, because they are living history. I'm trying to get very pretentious now. Sorry.
Well, as a librarian, and I was doing my librarianship degree when I was making it. I did do local studies, and I did do modules on this type of thing. A local study of how things have how the area of Birmingham that I was in has changed. I did a whole module on that. In fact, I remember my coursework for local studies. I managed to do a piece of work about how Sutton Park had changed and how it had been perceived through sort of ephemeral articles written at the time, things that you wouldn't necessarily have remembered. And of course that meant I could go into Sutton Park to take photos of how the park looked now, and also do some episodes. So I knew how to get.
But the thing is, I mean, it's also a snapshot of the people we knew at the time. Some of them are still very much with us. Some of them aren't with us. Fortunately, I don't think there are too many of them that have actually passed over the other side. But some of them we don't see socially as much as we did.
A few pets, a few old relatives,
including my own pets, Whiskey Junior at the time, a cat. He's in one episode, but there are multiple cats that are no longer with us that feature in episodes from Paul's house.
Going back to what you were saying about preserving the moment and stuff, when I used to watch Dark Shadows, which I was doing around the time we were making Sutton Park, I always liked the episodes that were set in the 60s more than the episodes set in the past, because I'd like to see the fashions, I'd like to see the hairstyles, the music, when they put on fancy frocks, I went back into the past. The stories were good, but I was waiting for them to come back to 1969 so I could see the latest awful, like, strobe-inducing frock that somebody was wearing.
But the thing is also, I mean...
I just like to say I didn't wear that many strobe-inducing frocks in Sutton Park because I wasn't allowed to. But
that brings me neatly on to what's probably a bit of a bugbear with me. It's that dreaded word dated, which people use in a derogatory term so much when old TV comes up. Oh, it's dated. Oh, that's dated, and everything. And they have a go at the fashions, which I think is ludicrous, and it's a shame that we can't actually celebrate the fact that that was of its time, and it's a snapshot. It's a cultural snapshot.
Well, I always liked films where these days it's chop, quick,
yeah.
and that has its place. But I was just partly because the way I was filming it, and I didn't have that sort of editing. I did lots of slow pans at the end of scenes, but then you actually get to look around and see things.
Yes, you do.
And
that goes for professional things as well. I mean, I don't like the chop thing all at the time, because I much prefer the more sedate, old-fashioned way of storytelling and filmmaking and TV making. And also, I mean, where's it going to end? I mean, just is somebody going to wake up and say that's not quick enough, and we will get all our entertainment on a subliminal blur, not subliminal, subconscious blur, so that enters into the part of the brain we can't reach. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's nothing to do what people are conditioned to. It's not, people didn't write into the filmmakers and say make it quicker. Or it's the filmmaking making it quicker, and inevitably we've watched so much old TV. It doesn't really affect us, but when we do, it becomes. I'm rather taken aback when people say that. But anyway, going back to Sutton Park, and the other, for example, you can be filming a scene in the Salisbury High Street, i.e. the 2000. I'm not saying this did happen, but it's the sort of thing that would have happened in a Sutton Park episode in 1993 or 4. And if you would inevitably take in your surroundings, you would zero in on details and things like that, and the thing is, the High Street now looks totally different. There's no Woolworths. W.H. Smith is around the corner from where it was. The Bay Tree is completely gone. It's now Boston Tea Party. Woolworths, of course, is history, and everything's pedestrianised. So it would look totally different, and I think that's rather fascinating.
Well, what you were saying about when I was growing up, me personally, but probably not my contemporaries, other than like you and other people but these days people don't seem to look back at old things like they're. To me, I was much more interested in what had happened before, and when I became interested in Doctor Who, and the fact that there were lots of episodes that were missing or that had already happened and I didn't know about them, it made me want to look back.
Absolutely.
I was interested in things like the Avengers from the 60s. In the 80s they were repeating lots of American shows like The Invaders, or the Irwin Allen programs, and there was the comedy like Tony Hancock. And I mean, musically, I was listening to the Beatles and ABBA, and those were my musical starting points. It was all looking back rather than what was at the time.
Yes.
I think it's partly because my parents sort of influenced what I had access to, and they knew that Tony Hancock as a comedian was fine, or that the Avengers was fine to watch, or that ABBA or the Beatles were safe, and it was and they were okay with it themselves. And I wasn't much of a rebel. If anything, I later rebelled more against my peers than my parents. And whereas my parents' record collection,
I think that's another part where we're very similar.
Yeah, I mean, I was interested in what my parents had in their record collection. They're not really that much into music, really, not like I am, but they still had things that interested me. But
the thing is, I mean, there are two other things that immediately spring to mind when we have had people on that are sadly no longer with us, like your great aunts. It springs immediately to mind, Sutton Park wise, and people I've worked with on some of the films, and one of which, at least two of which, are gone. But also, I mean, when you put something out there on social media, as with those photographs I mentioned earlier, you never know who's going to hang their coat on it. Because, I mean, you know, they'll see a clip of something or somebody, and they'll think, oh, that's so-and-so, and they want to know more and more and more. That'll draw them into it. So I think you never underestimate the power of sort of old clips, old photographs. So, you know, you never know quite who's going to be interested and who's going to be drawn into it.
No, I mean, again, we can talk about Sutton Park and your involvement in it,
yes,
as far as an acting or stories, but we'll have to do that another time.
Oh, yes.
But it's been interesting to talk, or I've certainly found it interesting to talk about this sort of aspect of it. But before we move on to the next subject I want to discuss, I'd just like to sort of talk about what we've been recording a commentary for, not for Sutton Park, but something that was a little film we made in Las Vegas back in 2000, and there are some episodes of Sutton Park that we recorded at the same time, very near the end of the series, and we've been recording the commentary of that today.
Yes, my friend Keith Musselwhite, a very dear friend of mine for years, he's been helping me remaster some of the films that we did, and we're almost to the end of the range now, and he worked out a way about 6 or 7 years ago of actually doing a commentary, and mixing it in the same way that you get on DVDs, and I took over the recording of those last summer, and I've really quite loved my time doing it. And Les Paul's the latest, and sadly at the moment the penultimate one that we're doing, because there's one more after. There's one more to do after this, and also I think there's one more film after that, but my friend Andy's, because he directed it, he's actually editing it. So there's one more I'm doing with Keith. But yes, they're great fun, and we found that we could have talked for another hour or so.
It was only like 8 minutes long, and we were. Yes. By the time you told an anecdote, I told an anecdote, and we were like, oh. But it was fun. And you know, another project that's been preserved.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to move on to one last subject this episode, and we've got some other things we want to record for later episodes.
Okay.
But I shall just move on to something. We'll just move on to something else for a few more minutes, and then we will come back.
And I'm going to pour the tea.
Oh yes, make some tea.
Yes.
These fields, they're actually water meadows, and when I was last here in Yeti Manors, that was just before we started recording the podcast, and the fields were quite squidgy, and I think I was better leg-wise and able to get about, but I know I only had a pair of trainers, wasn't the best shoe wear to be exploring, and it's dried up now though, so I'm hoping to walk us over to the waterfall. It's not one of those waterfalls which, you know, the water's falling from a height, but it's a nice little place, and it's on the way to the woods beyond. And when we were kids and teenagers, we used to go up into the woods, or I did. Spent quite a lot of my teenagers. It's a certain period of my teenage years where I spent it with. There were lots of sort of tomboys who lived in the village. Sarah, who I mentioned, being one of them. And so there was a certain stage I spent quite a lot of time with them. Other times, my brother is 8.5 years younger, so we did stuff together. But I also did a lot of stuff by myself, and just inventing games and exploring the woods. And there's an old railway line beyond the woods that I don't think we were really supposed to explore, but we did, and I did, and probably we did episodes of Sutton Park out there. We certainly did a lot of Sutton Park around this area, and at my parents' house. It was one of our main locations because that's where I was living at various times. But the railway line was the old railway line between Salisbury and Bournemouth, and it was all overgrown, and it's a shame it wasn't made into a footpath or a bridleway or a cycle track or something, cycleway. But no, not to my knowledge, it never has been. But it was a very exciting place to explore, a great location for things. So it is really windy. I don't know how it's picking it up on the microphone. Hopefully not too much. It's weird because it's a really kind of warm, sunny day. It was raining earlier. The wind is it's definitely there. The trees are definitely swaying. Where I'm presently standing is a break in the hedge. There used to be a tree here where we had a tree camp, and the tree was higher than 6 foot. So it was more like 8, 9, 10 foot. And in the early to mid 80s, this was the place to be, because a boy who was older than us called Guy built a tree camp here, and there was a swing, like a rope swing, and we used to come here, and occasionally you, some other villagers would come down and try and wreck our camp. But I mean, we had lots of camps when we were growing up, but most of them were just in bushes and trees. There wasn't any manner of carpentry involved. But on this occasion, Guy did build a camp, which was a little box, and you could get in. I can't remember how many of us could fit in there, but certainly more than 2. And but unfortunately, his family moved out of the village, and he must have been 15, 16, whatever, and he moved away. So eventually, the camp, we couldn't really keep it up. We couldn't. It lasted for a while, and but it's not there now, and neither is the swing, and the tree where the camp used to sit is gone. So all those memories, if you looked at it now, you wouldn't even know that anything had ever been there. It's just grown up with stinging nettles. And I had a very nice childhood. My brother, 8.5 years later, there weren't many kids his age at all. He had one friend, and as far as I'm aware, the only thing that he taught him was how to smoke. So that's whereas we were much more creative kids and very well behaved kids. We didn't do anything like smoking or drinking. Dear oh dear no, we were very, very good kids. And I lived here in Yeti Manors, full time between 75 and 1992 when I went to university. So there is a pub in the village, but it's or a public house, but it's on the main road. It's not in the main part of the village. When I was at university, sometimes friends would come back in the holidays and things. 2 of my main friends, Kerry and Phil, used to come back. They were also in Sutton Park. They didn't have much choice, to be honest. They were railroaded into being in Sutton Park, but maybe more than them one day. But so when there was a while when I was living here where, even though I went to university in Birmingham, there was a placement. I had to have a placement, and placement I had was back in Salisbury. So for 9 months I was at university, sort of, technically, training in a library, and yet I was living back with my parents. So my friends from uni would sometimes come back and see me. They were all working too, and also Nick would come. So we did have a time when we went to the pub in the village, or on the edge of the village. Used to go there and play pool, and there was a really nice landlord there at the time, and a nice wife. He was quite cheeky. He used to tease us a bit, but he was nice. He was really nice, and his wife was nice. And they've moved away, and we've had various different landlords in that pub. It's called the Stag, but the last time I went into it, it had been turned into a sort of restaurant, cafe, pub. It was quite different from how we'd known it, but I liked it. The food was very good. In fact, when they first started, their portions were enormous. I think because they were making all the food, I guess they didn't really, some places overcharged with their food, and this place, when it started, they were kind of like, well, I suppose it only cost us this much, so we only need to put on £1 or £2 to the price, and that's good profit. But compared to other places, it was still really, really cheap, or you get a massive portion. And it's a shame that they've gone now, and I think the pub's just standing there empty. So everything's changing, everything's moving on, and that's what we need to do. We need to move on. We've got to head towards this waterfall. Inspired this, Nick. It's called Fairy from the Deep.
Oh yeah, yes.
So I don't know how to explain that anecdote.
I shouldn't even try.
No, I won't try. This is called Fairy from the Deep. They had seen the first hint of invasion. They had watched from the hills to the sea. They had seen the spacecraft low descending as they gathered to watch at the quay. The tides frothed with brutal intentions, and a light scanned the oceans below. The waters grew rougher and rougher, and boiled with a fierce undertow. In the town by the quay all was silent, as the locals knew not what to do. On the beaches they waited, just watching. What would become of them, nobody knew. The sky burst with storms high above them, the light in the sea growing dim. Judgment Day, close, had now come a-calling, with a future that looked pretty grim. But just as soon as it started, concluded. Yes, the skies cleared a wondrous blue. or eyes they were still on the waters for a sight of that UFO crew. For a time there was nothing, no movement. Oh, the sea lay as calm as a pond, but then suddenly bubbles emerging with strange shapes rising up from the beyond. There were screams, there were cries, there was horror as they watched the shapes moving beneath. They all visualised the terror, 12 foot tall with 16-inch teeth. They imagined an army of beasties with a wave-gruesome glare in their eyes, cold-blooded and ready to eat them. What emerged then was quite a surprise. What emerged then was just not expected. Not an alien Hulk, tooth and claw. The reaction, not more cries or screaming, just a loud and affectionate "oh." They weren't ugly like Frankenstein's monster, or some horrible blood-sucking thing, for in truth they were really quite lovely, pink and fluffy like rabbits in spring. As the creatures came slowly towards them, the vicar's wife, she gave a jovial hoot. "Oh, how sweet," she was heard then to mutter. "They've got dimples, how terribly cute." The reaction was echoed by others. These new beings looked cuddly like bears. The villagers began waving now gaily, both relieved and relaxed without cares. So caught up in excitement, they revelled. The carefree locals, not fearing their fate. Alien invasions can be rather jolly. They all saw the big guns, just too late. As you know, I am visiting family and friends in Salisbury this weekend, and I'm just going to speak to my mum because I want to ask her about something that I did when I was very small, and I can't remember too much about it. It's something to do with me being a graffiti artist of sorts. What actually happened?
The idea is never let a 4-year-old get hold of any chalk, because they put it in inappropriate places, their drawings, i.e. all up the brick wall which we have by the side of our stairway.
And the house was reasonably new at the time?
It was about 3 years old, yes. And so we have this line of whitened bricks at the level of a 4-year-old going up the stairs, which no amount of scrubbing will
On me or the wall?
eliminate.
You couldn't eliminate me either.
So they're approximately 38 years old.
So they're worth quite a lot now, probably.
I don't think anybody would actually notice it. Not like when you first did it.
Did I? What did you do? What did I say?
I think I was just speechless, actually. You didn't understand, did you?
No, I still don't. Still don't understand. I couldn't blame it on my brother either because he wasn't even born.
No, correct.
Or a cat. Couldn't blame it on the cat.
No. Well, you were caught holding the offending piece of chalk in your hand.
I was just expressing my
probably
art.
Found in the garden, because we had lots of pieces of chalk in the garden. Quite large pieces, chunks of chalk, natural chalk.
Do you think this has steered my course onto writing rather than drawing? Do you think I was scarred from
Well, you were just drawing lines. You weren't being artistic.
I might have been starting to draw something
but
amazing.
You'd think that you could use water, and it would get.
Yeah, this is proper chalk. This is proper chalk from the earth, not your manufactured rubbish.
No, that's right. Mm.
Did I draw anywhere else? Did I draw on anything?
I'm not sure whether you may have done a bit outside, but I can't really. I mean, that weather's away, so that's.
Was that the naughtiest thing I did?
What springs to mind? Well,
nothing involving toilet troubles or anything like that.
No, we leave that to Gray.
Oh, do we? All right, I guess that's fine.
I won't go into that.
So, that was the naughtiest thing I did, as far as you can remember.
I think so.
Good, that's a relief.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
It was. I'm very sorry. I'll officially put it on record. I'm very sorry now. I won't do it again. I remember.
No, well, we haven't got any chalk left in the garden, I don't think now. We used it all up doing hopscotch grids for Elena.
I don't really remember that much about being little, to be honest.
Well, you've got a very good memory, usually.
For some things, but Freud does hate it. But then the amount of things that
You've got so many new things that have crowded into your life, you see.
I'm like Homer Simpson. He has a brain, and something new goes in, something else has to come out.
Something like that, where it gets packed down really hard, where it's difficult to retrieve it.
But I remember saying...
You can remember when you were 8, can't you?
I can remember things. I can remember like certain things. I remember that as I was saying to Nick when I talked to him, that I remember being a bit scared of Mrs. Bryn at the Montessori school. But of course, years later, I just discovered saw in a totally different light, and she was lovely. But I remember her being a bit forbidding, or foreboding, or one of those words, when we were at school.
Well, yes, I can understand that. She had a very precise way of speaking, didn't she?
But then later she was kind of more supportive, and so you see people a bit differently. But so I must remember.
Get more eye level contact.
I must remember things quite early on, certain things, but and I remember like things happening in the village with all the little kids and things I did at primary school and things, but I couldn't tell it you in order or any. They'd just be random things. I'm not like Paul Hillier who seems to remember things with sort of his time at primary school as being a nasty time.
No, I hoped as I'm growing older that memories would come back, but I've always had a poor memory and it doesn't seem to be improving. And I think also now that people move away from their homes to far-flung places, or even not that far-flung, it's not the same as if you're in the same environment as the people you've been to primary school and then secondary school with, and you stay in that area and you all go out to work and you meet up, and it reinforces the memories. So I think we've lost a lot by moving away from
Although I remember
our families and friends.
I remember Nick and I talking about how having video cameras must change things, because although I've forgotten lots of things I did in the 90s, as we go through these tapes, I'm seeing things that I don't even remember going to, but that sort of tops up the memory, being able to see them on video and the way that we filmed so much when we're on a daily basis. You're reminded of, you've got that aide memoir. It's like a sort of very visual aide memoir of places and even like where shops were and how things have changed.
Some people have memories that if they smell certain scents or hear certain music, it brings memories back, but I can't say it does with me. I'm very unimaginative.
Well, as long as we don't smell that plant in the garden, that's not going to bring back any good memories at all. So you see how nice I linked it in. I linked it in all nice. So, anyway, well, if you think of anything else where I was bad, then we'll talk again another time. Otherwise, it's just a perfectly clean record. So I'll better go before you suddenly remember something. Thank you very much. Right, perhaps we can talk about cats another time.
Oh, never-ending tale that is.
Tale of cats. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, it's me, your Uncle John. I just wanted to leave a message. I want to say how nice it was to see you the other day at the poetry show. It was a very good night. Yes, you all did really well. Especially that John Smallshaw and Rich, they were very good. You were alright as well. So I hear you visiting where you grew up. Now, there's, I don't know how many people know that I was away travelling a lot when you were young, wasn't I? It's only been in the more recent years that we kind of hooked up, and now we got on so well. So anyway, I hope you enjoy seeing your family. Yeah, I suppose. Well, I'm pretty much the only part of my family that that I'm in contact with, really. So, I know people think it's all a bit mysterious. I guess it is, but one day we shall tell that story, perhaps. One day. So, you're catching up with your friend Nick, I suppose? Yes. He does that writing with you, doesn't he? Yes, nice chap, nice fellow. Yes, you've always made me very welcome with your friends. I feel that your friends are my friends, and interesting. It's always very interesting when I hear your show to hear who you're talking to, because sometimes I know those people. I do apologise that there was that time when I mistook one of your friends for lunch, but I've forgotten his name now. He was quite small, and I don't know, I'm really sorry I didn't take a chunk out of him or anything. I was very hungry, I was a little bit out of it, I have to say. Anyway. I think that's all I've got to say this time, so I hope you have a nice time back in Salisbury, and that there's lots of talky talk, and it's all good fun, and I'll see you again soon. Yes. So where was it you were going to? Kent again, was it? Yes. Maybe I will drop in, we'll see, hey? Yes, of course. Yeah. Wonder. Yes. Haven't seen any ghosts at your college or anything recently? No, I don't suppose you have. No, it's just that I saw a ghost the other day, and he got me to buy him a cup of coffee, and then said he'd give me the money, and I haven't seen him. So. Anyway, I'll be going now. It's great seeing you the other day. This is Yeti Uncle John signing off. Goodbye for now. Goodbye.
Right, well, we have our cups of tea now. I hope you have got yourself a cup of tea, because we'll be talking for a little bit. Yes. You can sit and listen, or walk. You don't have to sit.
Yes.
It's not that shocking. We're not going to shock you. We're not going to say anything.
Well, try not to. They shouldn't be shocked.
What I want to talk about this time is our writing, and we're about to start, for the first time in a number of years, a combined project.
Yes.
Is that what has?
I suppose the last combined project of any kind that we did was Last Pool, which wasn't really scripted. It was kind of just plucked out of the air, really. But this is similar to the last time we did something like this was in 1993 when we wrote a story which was a sequel to one that we did with other people the previous year, which was Sutton Park Prison in the Sun, which became a movie. And this back then we wrote the chapter a piece, and then when we next met, you used to hand the book over to me, and I'd write the next chapter, and so on and so on. But when we came to the script, there was a bit of a problem because it was pre-internet days. And one of us was unavailable, and when we needed to combine the two, I didn't have even a computer in those days, and whereas these days the technology is there to be able to make it quite a smooth operation. So it's significant to me because it's first actual creative writing project I think that I've been involved with in 5 years.
Well, we did talk about 3 or 4 years ago when I was one of my series that I write is about the Mouse of Commons. It's not quite a children's book. It's a bit like Harry Potter,
yes.
Where you've got adults and children, because that's what its intention with different layers. And I did sort of say, perhaps we could write a Mouse of Commons story, but I haven't been. I've got a backlog of Mouse of Commons stories because it's not my priority at the moment.
I think for me, I was reading I would be probably overly concerned with the
continuity.
Yeah. I'd be very worried about the continuity. That's one of the reasons.
Well, I'm not even very good at keeping with my continuity, so let alone trying to.
Yes, I mean, retracing our steps back in 1991 to 25 years ago, when you had a series called Spectrum, which was a script series which we dramatised. Now, you did invite me on for that one, and again, I think because there was some quite intricate continuity. I was a bit worried about this. Whereas with this one, this latest one, which doesn't have a title yet, I'm just about to write Paul's written the first chapter. I'm just about to write the second, and my main problem with projects recently, and this is purely me really, is getting going with ideas being good enough, and an audience or purpose behind it. But the last thing I wrote was, well, there was two things. There was a book that I was writing with a friend that I very unfortunately fell out with, and there was a script I did for because Ali, my wife, does. We used to look after the brownies, and I wrote a play for them which they put on. I was going to write the disability awareness sketch, which I wrote, but nothing ever came of it. So there was two very kind of downers there. I've been frantically searching for throwing myself into upgrading old stuff, but I've been really looking for something new, and this is the first. Although I've been working on two, I have to say I haven't been that idle, because I've been working on compilation of scripts and also my old stories from the 70s and 80s with my two series that I had.
You've been doing a lot of preserving and...
A lot of preserving. I've been... Well, it's all historical stuff I've been doing.
Yeah.
Preserving and sort of upgrading and making sure it's there but in a more accessible, modern way.
Yeah.
But this is the first new
And I got to write the first episode, so I thought that I don't like to sort of stake the claim too much from the first episode. I want to leave the door open, but also you've got to pin the stakes in the ground to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And so I thought, why don't I write something about two friends who one of the friends perhaps needs a bit of something, whether it be writing or whether it be something creative, something just to kind of push him on a bit.
Yeah.
And so a little bit based on truth to a certain extent,
Yes.
but the rest of the story probably won't be.
what makes it quite exciting is because we have incredibly different writing styles and incredibly different energy levels. I mean, I couldn't possibly compete with you. The sheer kind of powerhouse of the sort of energy you put into writing. But it can work, as we've discovered on Prison in the Sun and indeed on Laspel. So it's something. It's new, but there's also a sort of old boy network kind of thing within it, and also within its storyline. I
got you to choose
name of my character.
Yes.
Yeah, well, or the character
the
that
character.
it's perceived as me.
Yeah.
It's in many ways, it reminds me very fondly of when in the early 70s, when my sister used to write me children's stories. Used to be Colin, Kate and Nicky stories, which was thinly... Kate was a thinly disguised her because she liked the name Kate at the time. There's Six Wives of Henry VIII, Catherine Parr, Catherine, and so on and so on. And Colin was the boy next door. So it thinly just kind of... The fictional canvas, as I like to say, but with this, it does give you a very definite hook to hang it on. But also, I mean, what's interesting is when we first discussed it, before I read your first chapter, I went away and I had a very, very sketchy kind of idea about naming this fictional girl that. One of the characters was becoming interested in, and he didn't know her name or anything, but he wanted to give her a good name, and she was, and whilst he was waiting to ask her out for a date, he was coming up with all these strange names and trying to put a fictional character to this person. And then of course I get the first chapter and I got a wife. so that went straight in the bin. But I mean, like all writers, I'll probably reuse that at some point. But I have on the strength of Paul's chapter, I have actually. The ideas actually came quicker than they have for many years, actually. So the structure is there. One of my main weaknesses as a writer is raison d'etre for people. If there's a mystery, why are people doing that? I'm not very good at. I find it quite torturous to follow through. Kind of.
Because all I know is that they're probably off to the library to research something. My character Matt has has suggested, look, he wants you to come and have a look at something which might lead to some sort of writing project, a little bit of a mystery, could be a writing project, could be anything, but a creative thing. And we could go to the library. Let's talk about this.
And I know what's going to happen next.
And you know what? And I don't, because I didn't go past that. But and there's a little bit of a sort of, the wife's kind of glad that maybe to get your character out of her head to a certain extent, but it's also a little bit talking. They talk. My character, or Matt, talks to your character's wife, and she's a bit like, "What are you up to here? You're not going to lead him into something and then just drop him there, or cause something that's going to be a problem."
And it's the caginess of the wife is actually is one of the things I picked up on. I thought, oh yeah. I think we can tease the audience a little bit with this. So there's plenty to go. My problem is I think with the Old Grey and Wrinkly was the very first thing we worked on together. 24 years ago. That's right. There's a tendency. I've had a tendency to do too much at one sitting. I think when we did Old Grey and Wrinkly, the original, Harry had done an episode. Robin had done an episode, you'd done an episode, and I kind of felt, well, we need things happening, and I went whoosh, and I've tried to pull back from that this time.
I was quite pleased because I'm writing these script novels, have done for a while. My Beast of Friends and Kensington Gore and Hot Stuff, they're all sort of scripts, but with a bit of extra narration where it needs to be there, because I've got to the stage where I don't enjoy reading long descriptions in books, other people's books. You get these novels and they're 1,000 pages long. I just want to go on with the story. I want to hear some good dialogue, but I'm not interested in you describing the trees or the woman's feet as she walks up the path. I don't care about that. I don't even have to describe her. I'll just do that myself. Thanks. So that's why I kind of thought, right, I'm going to write the script. And I was quite pleased when you said, well, we don't have to write it as a novel. We can do it as a script.
I must admit, when I was working on this book 5 years ago with my friend, I did kind of take a deep breath and thought, I'm going to have to pull my socks up here, because books are very hard work. And I was quite pleased when you said, we're doing a script, because I've written more scripts than I have prose books. In fact, I don't think I've actually written a published. And
I'm not saying that we will necessarily. I'm not saying we will necessarily take it beyond that, or get a cast together, or even do it as a radio play. We might do. We probably won't. I don't know. But at least if we even consider it, it's in almost the right format from the start.
Yes.
We don't have to migrate it from a novel, which like we did with Old Grey and Wrinkly.
What's nice is, and I feel quite pleased about saying this, being as we're getting old, is that media as it was today. I mean, yes, there's cyberbullying and all of that, but there's terrific opportunities at the same time. And I think if we put it out, if we put it together on our blog, and kind of. We could put it out there, and other people might tell us what they, if they like it, where we should go with it. The great.
At the moment, I've put it on a blog because it was made it easy to share, but I haven't shared that because we haven't got a title for it yet. So whether we will release it before it's finished, we might republish the posts, or anybody who follows any of my blogs will probably be able to find it because it's not hidden. But we're not promoting it because it is still, at a very early stage, and we might tweak. We want to be at a stage where we can tweak things.
What's nice is it's taking us to the next level, because we don't need to worry about shuttling a book together anymore because of the internet. But on the other hand, in many ways it's taking it right back to the classic days of. I don't want to be misconstrued here, but the classic days of something like Sherlock Holmes, which was published in a newspaper. The original story, the original stories were published in a newspaper, and serialized, and people would. I'm talking rubbish. Not Sherlock Holmes, Dickens. Dickens.
I think Sherlock Holmes, I'm sure, was published in the...
Dickens was published in chapters and published in the day. So you followed the story, and the story unfolded as you came along. Now, whether when Dickens picked up the pen to write Oliver Twist, he knew exactly what was going to happen at the end. Is interesting. I like plotting things, but in advance. But I do in little bits. But this is a new thing when we don't know where it's going, and that's the British.
And we'll see. We'll see.
We shall see. That's very exciting.
When we're totally finished, though, I will have to make it available as a book as well as a blog, because I have to have it in my hand. And hello, little book.
But it's just delightful to I mean, you've always been there for me with not only with the writing, but I think with there was Old Ray and Winkley came along in 1992, exactly at a time when similarly I was knocking my head on the wall trying to what next, what project next, and you guided me through the first films, and creatively you've always thrown the lifeline. You've always thrown the lifeline out for me, and this is very much at this time when even the upgrade stuff is starting to come to an end. Broadly speaking. So
I sat down and did my first. I was kind of, because I suddenly realised, I was kind of wanted you to have the first episode by the time that I saw you this weekend, and I hadn't actually got beyond writing a few notes, and so last Saturday I started writing it, and suddenly it was written. I didn't stop until and I hadn't necessarily. I thought, well, maybe I'm going to do it throughout the week. I'll do a bit today, a bit tomorrow. But in the end, no. Actually, I thought, okay, I'll kind of see where this is going. I'm just going to finish it. I had the time.
I mean, I am a bit busier than I used to be, but it's on the other hand, it's it's all the skill is all making the time to actually concentrate on doing the chapter, and therein lies the challenge, because it's when you pick something up and you write something and you think, right, is there anyone out there? To know that there is somebody out there and they're waiting for the next chapter, and it makes a hell of a difference.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see how it goes, and if it takes a year or 18 months to write, then that's how long it takes.
Exactly.
And we shall probably discuss, as I say, there's so much we need to talk about, but I think we're probably running out of time now, so we will, next time we speak, we will be able to kind of say, well, so how are we, where are we with this story?
Yes,
so this is definitely an ongoing thing. We should report back.
I mean, so the next one we talk about with our Untitled project,
we may have a title.
We might have a title, and B, we might be going, whoa, have you got something in the store? And then whoa, and all this jazz. So you never know.
Well, thank you very much for speaking about this and about the other subjects we've spoken about.
It's been a complete pleasure.
And yes, we really got loads of other subjects to talk about, but we must come to a close now. So,
yes.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Pleasure.
We have nearly reached the waterfall. It's a bit different from... I've not been on this walk for a few years now, and the spot that we're approaching now, there used to be a lot more trees and a gate you used to have to go past, because they were concerned that you'd let whatever sheep or whatever was in the field into the area where the waterfall is. But that's all different, guys. It's all gone now. So you can see the waterfall. Hopefully you can hear it. I'll take some photos. There will probably have been photos on my vlog by the time this episode comes out, but I may hold some of them back for when this episode comes out. But this is where being a video podcast would help. But you can't have everything. Those days are gone. I enjoy podcasting as much, if not more, than making videos. You should see the state of my hair, but I don't have to comb it because you can't see it. As if I was going to appear in front of the camera, you have to think about what you're going to wear. This means I'm lazy, isn't it? Yes. Right. Now we're about to walk on the bridge that goes over the waterfall. Sun's out. A little bit of
breeze, but as much as I remember it as when I was a child. Shame there's not a seat here so you can sort of sit and relax and watch the waterfall, but you can't. I'm actually just coming off the other side of the bridge now, so it's not a very big bridge. It doesn't take that long to walk across, but everything's very overgrown, but then it always was in the summer. And across the river from me is the woods, which I won't be going through today, but I'm glad I got this far, because it's not often that I have enough time to explore. Every time I come back to my parents, I spend at least one of the days. I often come here, say on a Friday night after work, so then I go straight to see Nick on the Saturday, and then I usually meet my parents for lunch on the Sunday, but then I go home, so I don't come back to Yeti Manors. This weekend's a bit different because I spent the early part of the weekend with Nick, and of course it's Sunday now. My parents picked me up, and I'm staying till Monday morning because I've got a dentist appointment, which I won't be podcasting about. It's only a check-up. It's not very exciting. So yes, I've had a bit more time. I had the whole day in Yeti Manors to come and do this, but that doesn't happen so very often. Or it may happen, and it's the wrong time of year. So one of my main memories of the waterfall is making a film with my brother in about 1991. My brother was about 8 at the time, and we were filming something called Dizzy, which is something we did very briefly before I did Sutton Park. But anyway, it involved my brother having to wear a Halloween mask and having these strange tentacle things shoved up the arms of his sleeve, and there was supposed to be some transformation. I did a jump cut. So my brother, when he was 8, was to be seen running across the bridge with a scary mummy mask and tentacles hanging out of his sleeve. So yes, quite odd. It was the beginning of many odd things. My poor little brother, not so poor or little, well, still poor, but not little, was made to do all sorts of silly things. He was actually the one, my brother was the one that would be kind of, you know, he wore the trousers, as it were. Well, no, he wore shorts, but, you know, let's just say he knew how to, even though I was his older brother, I wasn't the bossy one that much. I don't think I was. I mean, I kind of liked, you know, my own space because I'd been used to it. So having a little brother come along was good and bad. And he was much more sporty than me. Well, I was not sporty at all, and he was very sporty. And he also liked fighting. I don't think I'd ever fought with anything until I met my brother. And so, yeah, he managed to get my own back though. I made him dress as a woman once when he was about 10 or something. Yeah, he wore a wig and was murdered in a segment of Sutton Park. It's those sort of things one likes to do to one's brother. Anyway, well, I think that's the end of our little walk. I'm not going to drag you all the way back again. I can go back by myself, it's fine. So I may show you some more of Yeti Manors another time, but these are the main locations: the village, the phone box, and the waterfall, where the camp used to be. Yes, those are some of the most important views of my childhood. Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this episode of my chats with Nick and showing you around the village where I grew up. Next time, well, I've been recording quite a few interviews, so whether I will put 2 in one episode or whether I'll split them up, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. We shall see. but I'll leave that for a surprise. But we'll be back soon anyway, so take care, thanks for listening, see you again soon on the Shy Life Podcast. I shall leave you with the sound of the waterfall. Before we finish this episode, I would like to play you a tune that might be familiar to some of you who have watched my Mr. Shy Yeti videos. Yes, it's the Shy Yeti theme tune that we used to use in those little films. That was by my friend Luca, so I'd like to thank him again. He first taught me that tune years ago now. I think possibly to use it for my shows as like my intro music, and I never was able to do that. But when I started doing the videos in 2010, I thought, perfect. So this is the music I used. Yes, the Shy Yeti theme tune.